Hello there, YouTube. I thought while there's still snow around in the park and it's still pretty sort of cold, let's talk Conan. It's a completely random video. Not related to my channel at all. I'm not even smoking a pipe, as you can probably see. By the way, the housekeeping department, that's, I don't know if you can see this, that's Castillo del Morro in Maduro. Second cigar I've smoked ever. And I'm smoking this, the only reason being that Arnold Schwarzenegger, who played Conan the Barbarian in the first movie, he's a cigar smoker. Like I said, this video is completely random, just a snippet of what's going on in my in my brain sometimes, because I love movies and I love talking about movies and thinking about those. And Conan the Barbarian, the first film, is one of my favorites, all-time favorites, classical film in every sense of the word. No, we're not even, we're not going to talk about the new one, because with all due respect to Mr. Momoa, casting I don't remember who he is, a Maori, I think, to play a, northern barbarian. What were they thinking? Quite a bold cigar, I must say. Out of the two that I had. Anyways, excuse me. So the Conan sword, one of the iconic pieces of movie prop design. Probably the first sword that's not a major plot device that had so much care and attention devoted to it. And everyone seems to agree that this is the original movie sword. Despite its obvious design flaws. Nowadays you can watch anything and it's gonna have some form of criticism. That fighting scene is not plausible. This fencing is fake. John Wick is holding his handgun the wrong way. Everybody is a critic. But everyone, even the most, dire critics, tend to agree that Conan's sword, in terms of the design, is amazing. But like I said, it has its obvious, functional flaws. The main problem is that it's incredibly short. Even for Conan, it's just the length of a one-handed sword, essentially. A short one-handed sword. But it has a handle that you can definitely grab with both hands. So the main argument is that it's a handle of a two-handed sword, or a long sword, or a hand-and-a-half sword, whatever you'd like to call it, attached to a short, stubby blade. And I think someone actually calculated the mass and the amount of metal that went into making the sword in the film, and calculated that it will be enough to forge a proper double-handed sword, the great sword that reaches to about this. So it's almost the height of a fully grown man. And I think I have a theory why this sword looks the way it looks. It's completely, fanboyish theory, but a theory nonetheless. I'm sure someone already came up with this idea, but I haven't seen any. Tried Googling it, searching through YouTube, haven't found anything. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm the first. I think it's as simple as looking at the source. Where did Conan get the sword? Sorry, gonna plug the power source into the phone just in case. I wonder if it's even filming. Let me see. Oh, it does. Good. So, in the movie, mild spoilers ahead. In the movie, Conan finds this sword, which is called the Atlantean sword, in the crypt. Nothing is explained who is buried in the crypt. It's supposed to be some sort of a king or a warlord or something like that. We know that he's definitely Atlantean, a dead civilization which plays a major part in Robert E. Howard's works. I'll try to post a photo, a still of the buried individual, I'll call him Atlantean for short, buried Atlantean with a sword. Sorry, I had to just make it quite a bit brighter, because it's in the movie it's very dark. So this blade, as you may see, is directly under the hand of the Atlantean. So we can assume it's not a trophy, that's his personal weapon. And basically, Conan takes it from him, from under his hand, and takes it for himself. And here is precisely this very shot of Conan taking the sword. It obliterates the whole theory of, double-handed handle with a stubby blade. Take a look at the guy once again. He is huge, isn't he? Conan is a big guy, but this skeleton dwarfs him. Later on when the helmet falls off, the helmet is almost the size of Conan's torso. So this guy is big, and his hands are big as well. In fact, if we compare my small hand, his fist is probably this big, maybe even larger. So my theory is pretty simple. The sword that Conan takes from this Atlantean is not a double-handed sword or a hand-and-a-half sword. It's the polar opposite. It's a short sword, one-handed. The handle is just big because the guy had a big-ass hand. Maybe with a glove of some sort that enlarges the hand as well. So if we look at this as a one-handed sword, it kind of makes sense. Ash fallen off. So it suddenly makes sense. The weight of the sword also is, well, what I'm trying to say, that for the Atlantean warlord, this sword wasn't probably as heavy. He was probably wielding it happily, one-handed. That's not all. If we take an iconic one-handed sword from the antiquity, which is Roman gladius that Roman legions used. It's a short, kind of stubby, pointy sword designed for stabbing over the big-ass shield that the legionnaires used. Here it is, alongside the Atlantean sword. I resized them so that the length is more or less similar, and here is basically the breakdown. So the handle of the Atlantean sword is not that much longer compared to a gladius, and gladius is it's a very tight handle. You know, the pommel is very much over here, and the guard, whatever guard it has, is very much over here, so it just grabs the hand because it facilitates the stabbing motion. So, if we assume that this sword it has a cross guard, maybe the warlord had some sort of a glove on. That makes sense, in my opinion. Yeah. So there we have it, my theory on the Conan sword. It's not a double-handed sword or a hand-and-half sword. It's a short sword that just belonged to a very, very big guy that Conan just adapted to using it two-handedly. Of course, that doesn't solve the mystery of another sword, the father's sword that is made in the opening sequence of the movie, which is pretty much of the same proportions, and it's obviously made by a regular-sized human. Oh well, one nerd cannot solve any mystery. But I like this idea that this sword is actually, in a way, plausible. Because, like I said, I love this movie, and in my opinion, this small episode, this scene in the crypt, is the best part of Conan the Barbarian. And to me, one of the most touching moments of the film. You know, it has the love story arc. Definitely it has redemption arc. But this episode is like, you know, you're looking into another film within a film. Because, first of all the, you know, role-playing Dungeons and Dragons, it's all just in this one scene of the film where, you know, a barbarian stumbles upon a crypt of an ancient, majestic civilization and loots it, basically. But also, this subtle moment when the helmet falls off a warlord of the Atlantean, it's just so touching to me. Because once again, we can assume that it's his personal sword. It has Atlantean iconography all over it. If for someone not paying attention throughout the film and, you know, not looking, just drooling over the photos of the sword itself, it's covered with iconography. You know, the centerpiece of the cross guard is the erupting volcano, the destroyed the island. The cross guard itself are sea monsters, and the pommel is actually a boat made of, you know, reeds or something like that, onto which the Atlanteans escaped their doomed homeland. That's just amazing. almost as amazing as the inscription on the father's sword, which is also badass. But to me, like I said, sorry, the tree, the tree is blocking the sun. I'm in the shade. Pardon me. But this moment when Conan is hitting the sword to get rid of all the rust and the, I think, remnants of a scabbard, and the helmet falls off the warlord is incredibly touching for me, because it's we're never explained whether it was just Conan removing the sword that caused the skeleton to collapse, or the movement of the air, or maybe, just maybe, that somehow the the restless spirit of this Atlantean warlord or king, hearing the sound of his sword, clinging of the metal that belonged to him, was his personal weapon, and first the hand collapses and then the skeleton, as if he's trying to reach for his weapon again. That's, to me, and I think every male who is into adventure novels and fantasy, etc., etc., it's incredibly touching, personally, to me. So there we have it, my take on the mystery and the dispute around the sword of Conan the Barbarian. Gonna cut this off. Don't know how it will record. Don't know if I'll be able to add the images, but I'll do my best. I like this video. Anyways, thank you very much for dropping by. Thanks everyone who might stumble upon this video looking up Conan's sword or something like that. Sorry you have to look at this weirdo, Russian weirdo, smoking a cigar in the middle of the forest. Welcome aboard, the Looney Express. And now, myself will be back soon with another one of my videos. Thanks a bunch, and see you people, goodbye.